The starship Radiant Mercy drifted through the silver clouds of the nebula verge, glowing like a lantern in the endless dark. Humans were guests aboard this alien vessel, and among them was a quiet soldier named Hale. He wasn't known for boasting, or for showing much beyond his worn uniform and calm voice. Most of the crew didn't even notice him, except one. Princess, heir to the crystalline world of noticed everything. She stood taller than most humans, her armor made of living metal that shimmered like liquid starlight. Her wings, folded plates of hardened light, rested behind her shoulders, marking her status as royal defender and future queen. She carried a fire that made people nervous, everyone except, who simply bowed, nodded, and continued his duties. Too, that small reaction was strangely fascinating. Their first true encounter happened in the training hall. Had been repairing a malfunctioning hologram node when the heavy door slid open and the princess stepped inside. She was alone, her guards dismissed, her presence filling the room with quiet energy. Nearly dropped the tool in his hand. Walked past him, her armored boots sounding like soft echoes on metal. She stopped at the center of the hall and finally turned her attention his way. "Human," she said, her voice smooth like polished glass, "you do not stare like the others." Blinked, unsure how to answer. "Didn't want to be rude, Your Highness." A faint smile curved her lips. "Interesting, most are too frightened to look anywhere else." He hesitated, then shrugged. "I guess I'm not most people." That answer made something warm spark in her luminous blue eyes. She stepped closer, too close, her armor catching the lights above, casting bright reflections across his face. "Tell me, Hale, are you curious what I hide under this armor?" It was a playful tease, half challenge and half test. Such teasing was common among warriors, a way to measure one's courage, but humans rarely understood that. Expected him to blush, stutter, or step back. Instead, he breathed out slowly, lowered the tool he was holding, and met her gaze with surprising calm. "No," he said softly, "I'm more curious about what kind of heart is inside it." Her expression froze. The room seemed to hold its breath. Her armor flickered faintly, responding to her pulse. No one had ever answered that way before. Warriors asked for strength, nobles asked for secrets, rivals asked for weaknesses. But this quiet human, this unremarkable soldier, asked about her heart. She didn't know how to respond. "Why you speak boldly?" she managed, trying to gather her composure. Shook his head. "It's not boldness. I just think people focus too much on the outside. Armor is just metal. It's the person inside that matters." The princess looked away for the first time, not out of disdain, but because she felt something unfamiliar, uncertainty mixed with curiosity, wrapped in emotion she couldn't name. Her armor softened its glow, as if reacting to her shifting thoughts. "You confuse me," she admitted quietly. Gave a small smile. "That makes two of us." For a while, neither moved. The nebula light seeped through the viewing panels, painting the hall in shifting blue and violet. Somewhere in the distance, the engines hummed a low, steady note. Finally stepped back, trying to reclaim her usual confidence. "Human warriors usually tremble in the presence of my kind. Our power is legendary." "Well," said, "maybe I don't frighten easily." Her eyes widened a little. "You truly do not." He shrugged again. "I'm more worried about the hologram node exploding if I don't finish fixing it." A surprised laugh escaped her, light, musical, and completely unplanned. She hadn't laughed like that in a long time. "You are very different, Hale." "So I've been told." She studied him one more time, her voice softer. "Perhaps different is good." Before he could reply, the hall lights dimmed. A warning chime echoed through the air. "Attention, unknown ship entering range. All crew report 2 stations." Armor brightened, shifting into its combat mode. Straightened, instinct taking over. Their moment ended, but something had changed between them. The princess turned toward him once more. "Stay close. I do not know the danger yet, but I know I want you safe." Nodded, "I'll do my part." As they rushed toward the command deck, felt her heartbeat quicken, not from fear, but from the strange human who had left her speechless with only one gentle answer. She had teased him first, but now she was the one curious. Curious about him. The alarm echoed through the ship, sharp and cold, cutting through the calm of the training hall. Hale and Princess hurried through the long corridors, their footsteps mixing with the rising tension of the crew. Blue lights flashed along the walls, guiding everyone toward their stations. For most humans, the Nebula Verge was a place of beauty. But to the Royal Guard, it was also a hiding place for enemies who loved ambushes. And now one waited ahead. Walked fast, her armor shifting into full battle form. The plates sharpened, glowing brighter, reacting to her sense of danger. Followed beside her, not complaining, not slowing. His calmness surprised her again. "Human," she said, glancing his way, "you feel no fear." He smiled weakly. "Oh, it's there, I just don't let it drive the ship." She blinked, considering his words. "Your way of thinking, it is strange, yet I find comfort in it." Shrugged, "If I panic, I make bad choices, and bad choices get people hurt." That answer settled something warm inside her. They burst onto the command deck. Screens filled the walls, showing silver mist, drifting lights, and the silhouette of a dark vessel hiding behind a cluster of nebula clouds. A strange hum vibrated through the floor, like a whisper trying to crawl into their minds. Captain bowed to the princess but looked tense. "Your Highness, the ship is not responding to our calls. No identification codes, no energy signature we recognize." Narrowed her eyes, threat assessment. "Unknown," the captain replied, "but it is watching us." Looked closer at the display. The vessel had no windows, no markings, nothing familiar at all. Just long black panels and strange shifting patterns along its surface, as if it breathed. "Looks like it's waiting for something," he murmured. Stepped forward. "We must be cautious, prepare shields, no one fires unless." A deep rumble cut her off. The unknown ship moved. Slowly, silently, almost like a creature waking from sleep. The entire command deck stiffened. Some alien crew whispered ancient warnings about shapeshifter ships. Others tried to hide their fear, simply stared, trying to understand. The black vessel glided from the nebula fog, shining faint streaks of violet and green, its movements unnatural and fluid. Lights on the radiant Mercy flickered once, just once, but enough to make everyone uneasy. Felt her armor tighten protectively around her arms, reacting to her rising heartbeat. "Captain," she said, "maintain distance, do not provoke it." The captain obeyed, but his hands trembled slightly. Then something unexpected happened. A soft pulse of light expanded from the unknown ship. It was not a weapon blast, but a signal, a wave, a call. A message none of the systems could translate. Leaned closer to the console. "It's repeating, maybe it wants to talk." Gave him a curious look. "You think it is peaceful?" "I think," replied, "that it could attacked already if it wanted to." Her armor dimmed in consideration. "Perhaps your instincts are stronger than you realize." Before he could reply, a sudden jolt rocked the ship, not from an attack but from inside. The lights flickered again. A cold whisper flowed through the speakers. No voice, no language, just a sound that made the crew press their hands to their heads. "Everyone except." He felt the chill, but something inside him stayed steady. "It's probing," he said quietly, "trying to sense us." Turned to him in surprise. "How do you know this?" "I don't know," he admitted. "It just feels that way." Her eyes lingered on him more than a moment. A mysterious enemy, a strange signal, and a human soldier who understood something no system could explain. "Princess," the captain warned, "it is approaching again." Lifted her hand, prepared defensive stance. Before they could act, another pulse rippled out. This one brighter, sharper, pushing through the shields like water through thin cloth. Crew members gasped. The ship trembled again. Stumbled but caught himself. His vision blurred for one moment, just a moment, and in that moment he saw something impossible. A flash, a picture, a sensation of a doorway opening somewhere far beyond the nebula. He blinked dizzy. Caught his arm instantly, Are you harmed? No, he whispered. But that ship, it didn't attack us. It scanned us, all of us. Her grip tightened. All except you stayed standing. I felt it, he admitted, but it didn't break through. Stared at him, her expression shifting between fear and wonder. Why would it fail only with you? Couldn't answer, he didn't know. But whatever the black ship wanted, whatever it sensed, he had a feeling he was suddenly at the center of it. And the princess felt it too. The nebula outside swirled, thicker and darker. The ship in the shadows was only the beginning. After the strange encounter with the shadow ship, the Radiant Mercy drifted cautiously through the nebula, its engines humming like a wary heartbeat. Princess stood on the observation deck, her hands gripping the railing. The stars outside shimmered like scattered diamonds, but nothing brought her comfort anymore. The black vessel was still out there, hidden among the clouds, watching, waiting. Hale entered quietly. He didn't announce himself, he just leaned against the railing beside her. She didn't flinch. Somehow his calmness had become a small anchor for her stormy thoughts. "You're unusually quiet, human," she said almost teasingly, though the tension in her voice betrayed worry. "I'm thinking," he replied simply. "We've never faced something like that before, and the crew, they're frightened." Let out a low sigh, her armor's plates shifting as if they echoed her anxiety. "Fear is natural, but I cannot allow it to rule me. I must protect the ship, the crew, my people, and yet—" She trailed off, turning to look at him, a flicker of vulnerability in her luminous eyes. "I admit your presence eases the weight, even if just slightly." Tilted his head. "I don't do anything special." "You do," she insisted. "You remain steady even when all else falters. That is rare." For a moment, the only sound was the soft hum of the ship's life support. Then, without warning, the observation deck shook violently. The lights flickered. Emergency sirens wailed. "Brace yourself," commanded, her voice sharp as metal. Caught her wrist instinctively, steadying her. His grip was firm but gentle. "I've got you," he said. Before she could respond, the black ship's pulse returned. A wave of energy passed through the nebula, striking the Radiant Mercy. The shields groaned under the pressure and sparks danced across the consoles. The crew panicked, scrambling to maintain control. Sighs glowed brighter as she activated her combat mode. Her armor hummed with energy, her wings spreading wide. She moved toward the command console, but followed, keeping pace. "Princess," he shouted over the alarms. "Let me help." "I don't need help," she snapped, though the edge in her voice softened when she saw his determined face. "Then let me stand beside you," he said firmly. "Not in front, not behind, beside you." She froze. Something about the simplicity of his words struck her deeply. He wasn't trying to impress her, nor was he challenging her authority. He simply offered presence. The black vessel pulsed again, stronger this time. Energy arcs flashed across the observation window, revealing strange shapes moving inside the ship. Shadows that seemed almost alive, shifting and crawling along the hull. His hands clenched into fists. "It tests us," she muttered. "It seeks weakness." Studied the patterns carefully. "Maybe it's looking for fear," he said quietly. "I don't think it can handle courage." Her eyes widened. "Courage?" she echoed, almost laughing at the absurdity. "Do you really think a human alone can influence such a thing?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he stepped forward, placing his hand lightly on the edge of the console. His calm energy seemed to radiate outward, steadying the ship's tremors just enough that sparks ceased flickering. The black ship hesitated, its energy pulses wavered. A low, humming vibration filled the room like the heartbeat of a living creature, and then it pulled back, slowly, methodically. The crew exhaled collectively, unaware that the battle wasn't over. They had only survived the first test. Stared at, her armor still glowing softly, her wings folding inward. "You stopped it," she whispered, disbelief and admiration mixing in her tone. "You were not afraid, and somehow it recoiled." Shrugged again, his trademark modesty unshaken. "I didn't do anything, I just stayed myself." She turned to face him fully, searching his calm expression. For the first time, she realized that his quiet humanity, his simple courage, his ability to remain steadfast even when facing the unknown, was unlike anything she had ever seen in her life, in any warrior or king. You are unlike any being I have met," she said softly, her voice almost trembling. "I have fought countless enemies, yet I am left speechless by a single human." Looked down, a faint blush coloring his cheeks, though his posture remained steady. I just do what I must." Her armor shifted gently, responding to her unspoken emotions. For the first time in decades, she felt something beyond duty, beyond strategy. She felt admiration, wonder, and curiosity she could not explain. The black ship remained at the edge of the nebula, watching, waiting, but knew, somehow, that they had passed a test it could not breach. And in that moment, she understood that the human beside her, the one she had teased, underestimated, and yet quietly watched, was no ordinary ally. He was something more, something beyond her comprehension. Something extraordinary. The radiant Mercy glided cautiously through the nebula verge, but peace was fleeting. The black vessel had retreated temporarily, yet an unease lingered in every corner of the ship. Crew members whispered of shadows moving in empty corridors, of systems flickering without explanation. Princess patrolled the decks relentlessly, her glowing armor a reassuring presence to the frightened crew. Hale followed, silent but ever vigilant, his calm energy anchoring those around him. It began with a soft click in the corridor outside the cargo bay. His ears, enhanced beyond human capability, picked up the subtle anomaly first. She froze mid-step, signaling to do the same. "Something is there," she said quietly, her eyes narrowing. Didn't speak, instead he scanned the area, his instincts sharp. "Not natural," he whispered. "Whatever it is, it's intelligent." Before she could respond, the lights flickered violently. Shadows stretched unnaturally along the walls, twisting as though alive. The crew, passing by, froze, their fear palpable. The shadows weren't just dark, they pulsed, reaching toward the humans as if testing their defenses. Stepped forward, her wings flaring with protective energy. "Form a circle, shields up," she commanded, her voice ringing with authority. The crew scrambled to comply, but it was who acted first. He moved to stand beside her, positioning himself strategically, his body low and ready. The shadows surged like water, and then with a sudden burst, they into figures, sleek, dark shapes with eyes that glowed faintly like dying stars. They were fast, unnatural, and relentless. "Hold them off," shouted, swinging her energy blade with precision. Each strike sent shimmering arcs of light cutting through the shadow figures. But for every figure destroyed, two more emerged, flickering in and out of existence. Didn't raise a weapon. He simply stepped into the fray, his presence alone radiating something the shadows could not touch. They lunged at him, sensing vulnerability, yet recoiled each time they approached. It was as if he carried an invisible shield, one made not of technology or armor, but of sheer resolve and inner calm. His eyes widened. "How?" she murmured, watching him move with deliberate stillness while she fought fiercely. Each time she glanced at him, she felt a strange warmth, a reassurance she had never known in battle. One shadow broke through the crew's defensive line, moving straight toward the princess. Reacted instantly, intercepting it with his body, pushing it back without harming it physically. The shadow hissed and flickered, then retreated. You saved me," said, breathless. Her glowing armor had scratches now, and her wings quivered from exertion. Shook his head, calm as ever. "You would have done the same for me." A moment of silence fell over the cargo bay. The shadows hesitated, as if confused by the bond between the human and the princess. Then, slowly, they began to retreat, dissolving back into the nebula mist that had birthed them. The crew exhaled, a mixture of relief and awe. Many had never seen the princess so vulnerable, yet so unshakably fierce. And they had never seen a human withstand the impossible with such quiet strength. Turned to, her eyes searching his. "I underestimated you," she admitted, her voice soft but full of emotion. "I thought your strength was only in your body, but it is your mind, your heart, your courage. You are extraordinary." Gave a small shrug, trying to appear modest. "I just stayed steady, that's all." Her armor flickered, a reflection of her inner turmoil. For the first time, she felt a dangerous mix of admiration, curiosity, and something unspoken stirring deep inside. She had teased him before under the playful guise of royalty and power. Now she found herself genuinely intrigued, even humbled. "Tell me," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper, "how can a human stand untouched by something that frightens even my people?" Met her gaze steadily. "Maybe humans have to learn quickly. We survive because we keep moving, keep thinking, keep caring for others instead of ourselves." His eyes softened, her usual resolve tempered by wonder. "I see now, courage is not about strength alone, it is about heart." The shadows were gone, but their presence lingered. The black vessel had left a warning, a test, perhaps, or a threat still looming in the distance. But within the ship, a new realization settled between them. The human was more than an ally. He was a force, a mystery, and perhaps the key to facing what was coming next. As the crew repaired the damages and reassured one another, remained near, silent but attentive. For the first time, she felt a vulnerability she did not wish to hide, yet also a trust she had rarely offered. The nebula outside continued to swirl, dark and endless, concealing dangers yet to arrive. But inside the radiant mercy, two beings stood side by side, ready to face whatever came next. And in that unspoken connection, the princess realized something startling. Sometimes, the most powerful armor a person can wear is not metal, but a human heart unafraid to face the unknown. The radiant mercy floated quietly after the shadows had vanished, but the silence was tense, almost oppressive. Crew members whispered about the unknown, scanning the nebula clouds for signs of the black ship. Even the normally unflappable Captain paced, his hands tight on the railings. Princess didn't speak much, but her glowing armor shifted constantly, reflecting her inner thoughts. Every flicker of light across the polished metal echoed the unease she felt, and the fascination she couldn't deny. Hale, as always, moved calmly beside her, a quiet pillar of steadiness. "Human," she said finally, her voice low, almost hesitant. "You are not afraid even when shadows strike without warning. Why?" Paused, looking out at the swirling nebula. "Fear is natural," he said quietly. "But letting it control you, that is a choice. I can feel fear, but I choose courage instead, and I choose to act to protect those who cannot defend themselves." Her wings flexed, catching the soft lights of the observation deck. "You choose selflessness over instinct. That is rare. Most beings I know would fight for survival alone." He shrugged lightly. "Humans are stronger together. That's how we endure." For a long moment, she stared at him, her armor shimmering with soft blue light. No one had ever spoken to her this way. No one had ever made her pause, truly pause, and consider the strength of a simple human heart. Suddenly, the ship trembled again, not violently but subtly, as if the nebula itself was alive. The black vessel's presence was back, lurking just beyond the mists. The warning alarms chimed softly, and the crew hurried to the command stations, eyes wide and tense. Activated her armor fully, energy coursing across the plates, her wings glowing bright. "They are testing us again," she said, her voice steady despite the tension. "Prepare defenses, but do not fire until I command it." Stood beside her, calm as ever. He scanned noticing a faint glow on the black vessel, a pulsing light unlike any weapon he had seen. "It's not attacking yet," he murmured. "It's watching, learning." Glanced at him, surprised by his insight. "You see what others cannot." He shook his head. "I just notice I trust my instincts." The black vessel's glow intensified, and a beam of soft, violet light reached toward the radiant mercy. It wasn't a weapon. It was probing, almost as if trying to understand the ship, the crew, and the two beings at the center of it. "Princess," said quietly, "it knows we are different. It senses your strength and mine." Her eyes narrowed. "And what will we do?" He met her gaze steadily. "We do what we always do, stand together, trust each other." Felt something in her chest tighten, a strange mixture of admiration and something deeper, connection, trust, and even a flicker of awe. She had teased him once, asking what lay beneath the armor. Now she realized she had not been ready for the answer that resided in him: courage, selflessness, and the strength to face the unknown without flinching. The violet light touched the ship, and the shadows from before reappeared, but this time they hesitated. Stepped forward calmly, his aura steady. The shadows moved toward him, sensing potential weakness, but stopped abruptly when they reached his invisible barrier of determination. Wings spread wide, energy flaring as she fought off the advancing darkness. Yet every time she glanced she felt steadier, stronger, more capable. He was no ordinary soldier. He was something far greater than any being she had known. "Human," she said softly amid the chaos, "you make me feel safer than I have in decades." He looked at her, a faint blush warming his cheeks, though his posture remained firm. "I'm here, that's all. I won't let anything happen to you." The shadows faltered, confused by the unity between them. Slowly, reluctantly, they dissolved back into the nebula, leaving the black vessel looming silently, as if contemplating the human and princess in equal measure. When the ship finally calmed, lowered her arms and wings slightly, she studied with awe and something more, something dangerous to admit. Her curiosity, her admiration, and her growing respect had all fused into a feeling she could not yet name. "You are extraordinary, Hale," she said, her voice almost trembling. "I teased you before, thinking armor hid strength, but the truth is that your heart is more powerful than any weapon I have ever wielded." He looked at her quietly, unsure how to respond, yet feeling the weight of her words in a way that went beyond fear or pride. Turned away, gazing at the nebula through the observation window. "Whatever comes next," she said softly, almost to herself, "we face it together." And in that moment, knew something undeniable. The human heart, steady and unwavering, had found its place beside the princess of an alien world. And together they were far stronger than anyone or anything that dared test them. The nebula swirled beyond the ship, hiding dangers yet unseen. But inside the radiant Mercy, two hearts beat with courage and unspoken understanding, ready to face whatever darkness waited in the stars. The radiant Mercy moved silently through the dense nebula, lights dimmed to a soft blue glow as the crew worked to repair minor damages from the earlier encounter. Princess stood alone in the observation deck, her glowing armor reflecting the scattered nebula light, her wings half unfolded as if she were balancing between strength and vulnerability. Hale entered quietly, not surprising her. She had begun to expect him there, a steady presence beside her when the weight of command and fear became too much. "You're persistent," she said softly, almost teasing, though there was a hint of warmth she rarely allowed herself to show. "I've been told I have to be," replied with a faint smile. "You seem like you could use a calm moment." Looked out into the swirling colors of the nebula. "A calm moment, rare for me, and yet here you are, why do you stay?" Leaned on the railing beside her, matching her gaze toward the infinite stars and mists. "Because someone has to," he said quietly, "and because I choose to." Her eyes widened slightly at the simplicity of his words. On choices were usually grand and ceremonial. Humans, she realized, had a quiet power she could scarcely comprehend. Their strength wasn't always loud or flashy. It was steady, deliberate, and entirely devoted. "You have no idea how much that means," she whispered. Her fingers brushed the armor at her shoulder, the movement subtle, almost unconscious. Turned to look at her, his eyes calm and patient. "I think I do. I know what it is to protect someone, and I know what it is to care enough to face fear without hesitation." Her armor's glow dimmed slightly as she considered his words. She had teased him once, asking what lay beneath the armor he always wore. Now she realized she had not been prepared for the truth of him, his courage, his heart, and the quiet strength that radiated from him like light from a star. You make me feel less alone," she admitted, her voice trembling just enough for him to notice. "Even when the unknown threatens, your presence steadies me." Shook his head. "I don't make you strong, you are strong, I just help you see it." A faint smile touched her lips. It was genuine, unlike the practiced expressions of royalty she usually wore. "And yet I find myself drawn to you, curious about your thoughts, your instincts, even your quiet stubbornness." He looked at her, his expression softening. "Then maybe we are alike," he said, "both trying to stay grounded, both trying to protect what matters." For a moment, the nebula outside seemed to hold its breath. Stars twinkled faintly through the clouds, and the silence of the observation deck became a cocoon where nothing existed but the human and the princess, their shared understanding, and the unspoken bond growing between them. "You never boast," said finally, her voice almost playful. "Even when you did what no one else could during the shadow attack. No one else could stand untouched, yet you remained calm, steady, and now here you are again beside me." "I don't need to boast," replied. "I do what is necessary, that's enough for me." Her gaze softened, and a warmth spread through her chest, unfamiliar but welcome. "Perhaps that is what I am learning about humans. True strength is not always displayed. Sometimes it is quiet, steady, and fearless in ways even I did not expect." Shifted slightly, meeting her eyes fully now. "I face fear because I have to, but I also face it because I want to protect those I care for, and that includes you." Her wings quivered slightly, a subtle reflex of emotion she could not hide. You make a queen feel like she is seen, truly seen, not as a title or a symbol, but as a being." He reached out, his hand brushing the edge of her gauntlet in the gentlest way. It was not bold, not invasive, but deliberate and sincere. "Because you are more than that," he said simply. "And you deserve someone who sees all of you, not just the armor you wear." Her breath caught. For decades, she had hidden behind her armor, her duties, her responsibilities. And now this human, this soldier, had reached something deep inside her, something she had thought impossible to touch. "You have no idea," she whispered, voice trembling with a mixture of awe and vulnerability. "No one has ever spoken to me like this." His eyes held hers with unwavering honesty. "Then let me be the first." The nebula swirled outside like a living tapestry, reflecting the unspoken promise forming between them. A bond stronger than fear, stronger than armor, stronger than any weapon the universe could forge. And in that silent, profound moment, the princess realized that sometimes courage was not measured by battles won, but by the willingness to let someone see the heart beneath the armor. The nebula had grown darker, the swirling clouds now thick and almost alive, like a storm preparing to strike. The black vessel hovered at the edge of the radiant mercy, its surface rippling with an eerie light. This time it did not attack immediately. Instead, it pulsed as if testing, waiting, trying to gauge the strength of the two beings who had already its expectations. Princess stood at the forefront of the command deck, her armor glowing fiercely, wings fully extended. Hale was beside her, calm as ever, yet every fiber of his being was ready for whatever came next. Together they had faced shadows, attacks, and fear, and they had emerged stronger. But the final trial loomed. The black vessel sent a wave of violet energy toward them. The shields of the radiant mercy flared, crackling under pressure, and alarms screamed. Shadows appeared again, moving faster than before, coalescing into a mass that threatened to engulf the entire deck. "Stand firm," commanded, voice cutting through the chaos. Her energy blade hummed, ready to strike. Yet she did not move alone. She looked at, and for a moment something passed between them, unspoken, powerful, unbreakable trust. "I'm here," said simply, placing a steadying hand on the console beside her. "Whatever comes, we face it together." The shadows surged, reaching for them, but did something extraordinary. He closed his eyes for a brief second, and the shadows recoiled as though hitting an invisible barrier. His calmness, his courage radiated outward, pushing the darkness back. The princess watched, astonished, as a single human, the one she had once teased, held the line against an enemy no warrior had ever resisted. "You," she whispered, awe and emotion mixing in her voice. "You draw power unlike anything I have ever seen." "I draw strength from here," he said softly, placing a hand over his heart. "From what I care about, from what I protect, from you." Her wings shivered, her armor glowing with an intensity she had never allowed herself to show. For decades, she had hidden behind metal, behind duty, behind expectations. And now, she realized that real strength was not in armor. It was in the heart, in courage, in willingness to face the unknown for those who matter. The black vessel pulsed again, furious, and the shadows struck harder. But the human and the princess moved as one. Every strike from her blade was precise, every movement from him deliberate. Together, they created a rhythm that the shadows could not break. Every time the darkness tried to overwhelm them, calm and skill pushed it back. Finally, a brilliant wave of light erupted from the princess, combined with the calm aura emanating from. The shadows screamed, then dissolved entirely. The black vessel recoiled, pulsating violently, and slowly began to retreat almost reverently. The command deck was silent. The crew stared, mouths open, unable to comprehend what they had witnessed. Princess lowered her wings, her armor flickering as if it were breathing, adjusting to her still-shaking heartbeat. She turned to, her eyes wide and unguarded. You surpassed every expectation," she said, her voice soft, almost trembling. "I teased you once, asking what lay beneath your armor, and now I understand. You do not need armor to be strong. You are extraordinary." Looked at her unassuming, yet his presence filled the room like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. "I'm not extraordinary," he said quietly. "I just do what is right, and I don't face it alone." Stepped closer, her armor's light softening as she met him face to face. "You've shown me courage I did not know existed. You've shown me that strength is not just power. It is heart, it is steadfastness, it is being willing to stand when everything else threatens to break you." Reached out, brushing a hand gently along her gauntlet. "And you've shown me that even the most powerful can still need someone to trust, someone to lean on." For the first time, the princess allowed herself to lower the walls she had built for centuries. Armor and title no longer mattered, not when a human stood beside her, steady and unwavering. The black vessel had retreated into the nebula, leaving a warning behind, but inside the radiant mercy, two hearts had found a bond stronger than any fear or weapon. Smiled, a warm, radiant smile that reached her eyes, and she spoke the words she had not said aloud for decades. "Thank you for standing with me, for showing me courage, for being you." Returned her smile, simple and genuine. "Always." In the vastness of the nebula, amidst shadows and stars, the princess realized something that no battle, no armor, no enemy could ever change. True strength was never just in metal or skill. It was in trust, courage, and the heart willing to face the impossible. And together, Princess and Hale were unstoppable.